Greetings, Taika family. This is Jackie Clementines on behalf of the Taunton Youth Culture and Arts Festival, and it is an absolute honour and a privilege for me to present you this 4-part spoken word workshop series. In this course, we are going to teach you everything that you could possibly need to know about creating original material. How can I make such a bold claim, I hear you ask? Well, that is because there is only one thing that you need to know about creating original spoken word material, and that is that you already have everything you need inside of you as we speak. So what is spoken word then? There are as many different styles as there are people that do this art form. And let me just quickly look at the rule book for you. There is no rule book. You might come at this from a perspective of poetry, of hip hop, of grime, of storytelling, of stand-up comedy, or even maybe you just want to make a point. You know, Greta Thunberg or your favorite YouTuber, they're both or all spoken word artists in their own way. There are a few different styles which I like to come at this with. I like to go for some of the faster stuff, like many melodies in the mainstream melodies. Money mad men sell soul so cheap. These hapless beats manufactured tweaked, vacuum packed like factory beef. Tracks are released like sacks of wheat, Monsanto seeds in HMV. That seems off key, but it might just be good. They've all got many more fans than me. And some of the slower things as well, you know, you're deep beneath these creaking streets she sleeps. Between seeds and streams, and she sees seams of green creep between gleaming office scenes in her dreams. But like I said, there are as many different styles as there are people, and we're really going to encourage you to find your own journey through this, your own styles within this. So I'm just going to start off by letting you know what this project is all about before we jump in with our first session. So Taika Festival asked me to make this course for 2 reasons. First, we want to upskill young artists in the area to really go and make their work a little bit more expressive, creative, and go further with it, really take their work to new levels. And the second is that we want to create as big a platform as possible to help you to get your word out there. We want to create real career pathways through this. We want to get your work heard on the radio. We want to get it heard on online events that we're going to be organising. And hopefully, dare I say it, even in real face-to-face events too, which might be coming before we know it. But we're just going to have to watch and wait on those, of course. Okay, so how's it going to work? Well, this first session is all about inspiration. Those little sparks which start you on a journey that could change your entire life if you allow it to. The second session is about voice, and most importantly about your voice. You know at least one thing that no one else in the entire universe knows, and that is how it feels to be you at this exact moment in time. And that's a really, really unique and special thing which you should never underestimate, and your voice is your way of sharing that with the world. The third session is about your toolkit. We're going to be introducing lots of different techniques which you can use to enhance your work in different styles, although it's always on a take it or leave it basis. Like I said, there's no rule book. You can do this any way that you want to do this. And finally, our fourth and final session is all about performing. How can you be the best performance artist that you can be, creating quality video content for our online platforms, but also how you can wow real life crowds as well, as soon as live performing arts are back on the menu after the pandemic. So let's get on with it then. So this first session is all about inspiration. And I'm going to start by saying there are 7 billion different ways to go about this. And you might find many better wordsmiths than myself who have a completely different approach and think that everything that I'm saying is absolutely wrong. But for me personally, the most important thing to think about when you're approaching any spoken art form is your creative expression, the way that you communicate your emotions. If you can give me a little snapshot into your head or your heart at this moment in time and let me know exactly how you're feeling, then it's going to make deeper, more powerful artwork across any of the disciplines. And the least important things to think about are anything like long fancy words, complex literary techniques, or anything where in your head you're asking yourself, is it going to be good? I always say if you set out to make good artwork, then you're probably not going to. For anyone that doesn't know, you've got a right side of your brain and you've got a left side of your brain. And in general, your right side of your brain is responsible for emotions and creativity, whilst the left side of your brain is more responsible for logic and rational thought. Now, it's important to say that you use both all of the time. Of course you do, and there's no such thing as creative people and not creative people. You don't have a dominant brain side like you have a dominant arm. It's very different to that, and you use both all of the time, and everyone is a creative person. But for me personally, I would say it's really, really important to be able to step outside of that logical thinking brain to get into that space where the raw expression can just flow out. And if you just start there and get it all down on paper or however you want to get it out into the world, then you can worry about whether it's good or not afterwards. Get it all down on paper, spray it out in all its raw materials, all of its raw ingredients out there, and then you can read it afterwards or listen to it and say, is it good? If you hate it, bin it. Don't show it to anyone. That's absolutely fine, but the thinking about whether it's good or not will actively get in the way to getting it down. Our first game that we're going to be doing is all about the diverse art forms that I'm coming under this bracket of spoken word, or the different spoken disciplines, and how they might be a little bit more similar than you originally thought. If you don't already, please stop the video and go and get something to write with. So I'm a little bit old school, I like to go for the pen and paper, but you might choose to go for a different tab on your computer or notes on your phone, however it goes. I think pen and paper is best for me personally. So, what I want you to do is to write down your own definitions for all of the words that I am going to say. I'm going to read out a number of words one by one, and I would like you to think, what does it mean? And write down as quickly as possible what it means to you. I don't want you to go pausing the video. I'm deliberately not leaving you much time for each, because I want to get your raw response rather than your logic brain response. So, my first word for you is poetry. I would like you to write down, what does poetry mean? What is poetry? What is a poet? What does a poet do? What is your personal definition of poetry? My second word for you is rap. What is rap? What is a rapper? What does a rapper do? What is your definition of rap? What does rap mean to you? Write that down as quickly as you can. So my third is stand-up comedy. What's stand-up comedy? What is your definition of stand-up comedy? What does a stand-up comedian do? What does stand-up comedy mean to you? Write it down as quickly as possible and we'll move on to storytelling. What is storytelling? What does a storyteller do? What is storytelling? What is your definition of storytelling? Write it down as quickly as you can. Okay, so whenever you're ready, then pause the video, and what I would like you to do is look at all of your definitions and try swapping and seeing if your definition for rap works for storytelling. Does your definition for storytelling work for rap? So pause the video whenever you're ready and have a look at each title and each definition and see how many work for each other. And you can take 2 minutes if you just want to do this really quickly, or you can take 10 hours if you want to really explore the similarities and differences between. Pause the video for as long as you like and we'll come back to it there. So we have these different art forms with some similarities and some differences. Before we start trying to write our own original material in any of these art forms, we must ask ourselves, what is originality? And in my personal opinion, there's actually no such thing as real originality. Everything is a remix. What our brains do all of the time is receive information from different places, mix it all up, jumble it, recreate it, and push it back out into the world again in a number of different ways. So there's nothing truly original. I've tried very hard throughout my career to try to make my own noise, try to make my own sound, my own style as much as possible, but undoubtedly without artists like Akala or Loki or Kate Tempest, the direction it would have gone in would have been completely different, of course, and we're all copying everyone that we meet every day to some extent. This leads us on slowly to my first top tip for writing original material, and that is that you should take inspiration from everywhere that you can. You should copy everything that you can, but don't copy people within your own art form. So if you want to write a poem, don't copy poets. If you want to write a rap, don't copy rappers. Try to draw your inspiration from as diverse a range of places as possible, and that's where new combinations can be made. So this leads us on to our second activity, which is what I would like you to do. I hope your pens and paper are still at the ready. I want you to write down the title of either your favourite song or your favourite rap, your favourite poem, your favourite story or your favourite film, anything that's got words in it. Write down your title, and I'd like you to do that before I tell you what we are doing with it. I'll give you 3 seconds to make sure you got it down on paper, and then we're gonna move on. So, you've got your title there. What I would like you to do is to write it out again, and I would like you to turn it into either a rap or a poem. So if it was a rap, turn it into a poem. If it was a poem, turn it into a rap. And if it was anything else, then you can choose whichever of those you'd like to turn it into, whatever's funniest. So of course, if it was a song, maybe just write down a verse. If it was Harry Potter that you chose, maybe just write the first paragraph. You don't need to write out the whole thing. But get an extract of writing from wherever it was that you chose initially and turn it into either a poem or a rap. I have a few examples for you before you get started. This is an original poem that I wrote with a bit of help from YouTube. I hope you enjoy it. I found a love for me. Darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. Oh, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give up on you this time. But darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own. And in your eyes, you're holding mine. Entirely original poem with a little bit of help from Ed Sheeran. And just before I let you go wild with this yourselves, I have one more example, which is an original grime tune that I've just produced with a little bit of help from my old friend, Mr. McDonald. Here we go. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. On that farm he had some cows, E-I-E-I-O. With a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some ducks, E-I-E-I-O. With a quack quack here and a whack whack there, here a whack, there a whack, everywhere a whack whack. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Drop the mic. Okay, so it's your time now. Let's see what you can produce. Get what you originally thought about and cut, copy, paste, mash it up, change it around, and I really look forward to hearing about what you have come up with. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so playtime is officially over. It's now time to start creating our own original material. Taika Festival's theme for this year is 2020 Visions for the Future. This is the theme that we're going to be writing about throughout this course, and we're really reaching out to young people to ask you to tell us, what is it that you want to change about the world? What is it that you want to see happen? So here is my question. If I were to give you a magical wand and tell you that you can change just one thing about the world, just one thing, however big or small, what would you change? I'll give you a moment to think about this. It could be something really, really tiny, or it could be something absolutely massive. It could be yourself and about who you are and your place in the world. It could be about your family. It could be about your community or the immediate people that live around you. Or it could be about your town. Could be about your country, could be about Europe, it could be about the world or the whole universe. So any change, however big or small, what would you change? You can pause the video if you haven't got one yet, or if you have already got one written down, then we're going to roll straight on. So now, remember that we're stepping away from our logic brain and into our raw creative state. I want you to focus on the feelings involved when it comes to this change. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and write down one thing that makes you angry relating to this change. One thing that really gives you that belly rage and makes you angry. One thing that makes you sad related to this issue. Might be that something makes you feel sad and you don't want anyone else to have to feel that sadness, which is why you want to make your change. And also write down one thing that makes you feel happy related to your issue. So this could be something that already makes you happy and we need more of. It makes you happy today and we need more of it spreading out into the future. Or it could be some imagined happiness that when this change comes, this is where we're going to go. So when I say stop, we're going to stop it and write down one thing that makes us happy, one thing that makes us sad, and one thing which makes us angry related to this issue. So pause the video now. And now that we're back, I have the next step of the challenge for you. Look at your three feelings. Look at your happy, your sad, and your angry. And choose which one of the three you felt the strongest. And be honest with yourself. What was it that really got you going? Was it the anger? Was it the sadness? Was it the happiness? Which one do you think could be most infectious if you were to try and spread it to someone else and share that emotion with them? So what we're going to do with the one that you choose, your strongest feeling of the three, is we're going to do a stream of consciousness activity. I would like you to set a timer for 3 minutes. So you can do that on your phone, or if you don't have a device that does that already, anything on YouTube, you can get a 3-minute timer that will count down for you. It's important that you do force yourself to keep going with this. If you find it easy, do 5, try 10. But really force yourself to keep writing. And what you're going to do is write about that feeling. Write about how it feels. What makes you angry, why it makes you angry, what it makes you want to do, what makes you happy, why it makes you happy, how does that happiness look, how does it smell, how does it taste. Really go all in on exploring that feeling. And it sounds really easy, but 3 minutes when you are hammering away at the keyboard or scribbling away in your notepad, it actually can feel like quite a long time. And the most important thing is that you keep writing no matter what. Even if what you're writing is, there's this weird guy called Jackie who is like popping up on my screen and telling me that I have to keep writing and I can't think of anything else to write and I just have to keep writing. Keep writing no matter what, but try to keep coming back home to that feeling. You can go off on all kinds of wild tangents, but come back home each time to that feeling. Write for a solid 3 minutes and then come back to us. Off you go. So that was the last activity that we're going to have time for in this session. The writing that you now have in front of you is the raw ingredients, which we are, over the coming weeks, going to sculpt into an original spoken word performance, which you can be really proud to perform. It might right now feel a really long way away. In fact, I'll be really, really surprised if it doesn't. But the whole point of what we're doing here is just getting those raw ingredients down, and we're going to sculpt them later on. So if you're happy with the writing that you've done, you're happy with this as a subject to explore, then you don't need to do anything else between now and next session. But if Maybe you're not particularly happy with the direction it went in after you started doing it, or if you just want to try a different challenge and explore something a bit more, then try doing that same stream of consciousness activity with a different emotion attached to the same change, or an entirely different change. You can do this as much as you like and really explore different feelings and different changes that you might like to make. But yeah, that writing that you now have is the raw ingredients. It's like a rough ball of clay that in these coming weeks we're going to slowly sculpt into that thing that you can be really, really proud of. And I look forward to seeing that journey as it goes. If you are watching live, then you can jump right onto the Taika website at 2 p.m. today and 6 p.m. today. We're going to have on Zoom some live Q&A webinar sessions where you can ask questions, share works in progress, and generally receive feedback from me. And if not, the next one of these workshops will be released a week today. They're going to be coming out every Thursday at 11 a.m. So that's Thursday the 16th of July. The next one will be coming out. I really, really look forward to it. Any other questions that you have, any feedback about the course, then you can find us on the socials. I'm Jackie Clementines on Instagram, Clementines Live Arts on Facebook. You can also find Taika on both of those platforms and on Twitter as well as the Taika Festival. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege to go on this journey with you, and I'm so excited about the next steps. Peace.